First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Quadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto truth, and also to those fillet that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type of day lesson is seeing is believing. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have a quick Google search of what is the meaning of seeing is believing. And it reads that you need to see something before you can accept that it really exists or occurs. So this is pretty much the mindset of what the unbeliever, the one is constantly saying that, this is not going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Also, they constantly seeing things and also they constantly hearing things, but they still are not believing until it happens. And one thing about these Bible prophecies are speaking loud and clear. And one thing about it, the men of the Lord have gave you full warning, of all these impending dangers. We've already been telling you about war, or evil time. We've been telling you about pestilence, a time of trouble that we have never seen before. And a lot of our people are still right now, are still scoffing and mocking, still playing games, still constantly not believing. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, that's the same thing that happened back in Noah's time. These are the days of Noah. We're living in the end time, real time. So right now, Donald Trump is getting ready to make a decision, whether he wants to go in and bomb Iran. So one thing about it, we know once this happens, this will start a domino effect. We already know that the war is going to get very, very it's going to become. It's going to be on a larger scale, which in fact is going to be a world war, which in fact is World War III, the last and final war, right before the great and glorious return of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Let's read this phrase once again. Seeing is believing. They say you need to see something before you can accept that it really exists or occurs. So pretty much when Jacob's trouble start, that's what they're going to have to see before they can believe something, and one thing about it is that we already knowing that, a lot of people are going to try to get in line when all this hell break loose. So when you go to Proverbs chapter 1, it tells that when your fears come, when your desolation come, and everybody, you shall seek him early, but you shall not find him, because the men of the Lord constantly been warning you, over and over again, even though that we've been sounding like a broken record. But these are the times that we're living. Or they're saying the same thing over and over. It's nothing happening. It's still sunshine today. I'm still eating good. I'm still drinking good. I'm still, playing games. But all the games about to be over. That's what we constantly warning you about left and right. And one thing about it, we know that we're very close to our salvation. Also, World War III has begun. And one thing about it that we're seeing right now, the Lord is moving the chess pieces around. And one thing about it that we knowing that all hell is getting ready to break loose. We're already knowing about this Israel and Iran. We know that the least of the flock should draw them out. Draw who out? The U.S., America, Babylon the Great. And one thing about it, we already knowing that things are getting ready to go nuclear at any given time. So one thing about it, also in the news, it says on Iranian state TV, it was saying that they're warning the world of a surprise, saying tonight, it said that the world will remember for centuries. So these things are coming up. And also we know that China is constantly threatening Israel about constantly, about continuing striking Iran. Also, it says that Pakistan has now threatened Israel, saying that if they nuke Iran, they're going to nuke them, so those are the dragons of Arabia, just like it says in Second Ezra chapter 15. See, these Bible prophecies are constantly lining up like clockwork. Ezekiel chapter 38, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, the list go on and on. We're here, man. It is at the door. And one thing about it, we already know that America will be destroyed in 1 hour. Thy judgment comes. So right now, once again, seeing is believing. So a lot of our people are very rebellious, very stiff-necked, very sottish, foolish. They're rebels of who? Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. First they hated him, and they also shall hate you for what? For his name's sake. So that's where we at right now. So, and one thing about it, they get ready to find out that a prophet was among them, the one that's constantly making these video epistle in the highways and the byways, working overtime. These Bible prophecies are speaking loud and clear. At the end, it shall speak. Seeing is believing. So now, let's get a quick precept before we start today's video. Let's go here to Ezekiel, straight to the point. Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 2, it says, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, said, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house. So this is exactly what's going on right now. They have what? They have eyes, but they refuse to see. They have ears, but refuse to hear, for they are a rebellious house. Rebellious peoples until this day, which in fact are the 2/3. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, we already know what happened in Moses' time. We know what happened in Noah's time. And also we know what's getting ready to happen in these times. There's no new thing under the sun. And one thing about it, they are that same rebellious house that did not want to return to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. So we're very close. So we'll come back to Ezekiel chapter 12 in a minute. So right now, a lot of people are seeing things. They're hearing things. Something is not right. I'm having a vision of this. I'm thinking that we're living in the end time. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about it, they constantly, have that do thy will spirit, constantly leaning on their own understanding. But one thing about it, they're not trusting and believing in Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. The Lord is the only way. And one thing about it, they get ready to find that very soon. So now I have a few quick videos, and that video will start the lesson, and I hope that you will get edified. Let's go here to the first video.
Donald Trump is facing the biggest foreign policy crisis of his presidency, first term included. The American people and the rest of the world are waiting anxiously to see what he will do.
Will the president, who campaigned on keeping the country out of war, get America involved directly in Israel's war against Iran? Only the United States has the power to destroy the Iranian nuclear program.
But the president prefers, in fact, demands that Iran surrender without condition. He warned he knows where Iran's supreme leader is hiding, though he said he does not want him killed, adding, for now.
The president also warned Iran against attacking U.S. troops and assets in the region.
Say better. We'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard. Linda loves her off so beautifully. Now, I think they know not to touch our troops.
Israeli attacks have targeted nuclear sites across Iran.
One of the most important is the uranium enrichment plant at Fordow. It's a secretive site built inside a mountain.
Fordow is believed to house 2,700 nuclear centrifuges. They enrich uranium that could be used for a nuclear weapon.
The Israeli airstrikes have targeted Fordow, but only the United States is capable of destroying this site. It would take massive ordnance penetrator bombs known as bunker busters, delivered only by American B-2 bombers.
Whether to do that is one of the decisions President Trump has to make. Wei Zhejiang is at the White House.
As the war between Iran and Israel raged on for the 5th day, CBS News has learned President Trump is now weighing whether to join Israel in striking Iran's nuclear sites, including Fordow, several hours south of Tehran. Israeli airstrikes have targeted the facility, but only this 30,000-pound American bunker buster bomb, delivered by B-2 bombers and never used before, would have the power to destroy it. A similar bomb was used in Afghanistan 8 years ago to decimate a tunnel complex used by ISIS.
It's designed to penetrate to quite a significant depth before it actually goes off, and then to generate the large, burst after that.
Frank Kendall was the Secretary of the Air Force during the Biden administration.
What are the potential consequences for a strike on Iran?
One thing to think through very carefully is what are those options and how might they manifest themselves in the future? Are we opening up the possibility of another 911, for example, by doing an attack? I think all those things have to be thought through very carefully.
When Israel launched the first attack last week, the White House insisted the U.S. was not involved. But today, Trump declared we now have complete and total control of the skies of Iran. The administration's assessment of their nuclear capability is also shifting. This is what Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said in March.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
Last night, Trump gave his own view.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
Ouija, the president and his top intelligence official don't seem to be on the same page here. Is that the case?
Well, there is an important distinction here, which is having an actual nuclear weapon and then having the capability to build one. And during that testimony, Tulsi Gabbard also said that the amount of stockpiled enriched uranium that Iran had was unprecedented, even though its weapons program was suspended. Now, today, Vice President Vance said that a lot has changed since March, but the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee says he has not seen any recent intelligence to suggest that Iran is actually pursuing a nuclear bomb.
Ouija, the president met with his national security officials today, but that team is a lot.
War with Iran will be World War III. Iran is not alone, and it will not remain alone. With Russia, we are at possibility of peace, but we're also at a possibility of nuclear war. They're both very close. And if we go to war with Iran, we make nuclear war all the more likely.
Serious update for you guys. Iranian state media said there is a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries. Now, understand that Iran has talked a lot and done very little until very recently. But there's a lot of news tonight, and I have to go through it all, and it is looking very sus. That's all I'll say. Commanders put American troops on high alert at military bases throughout the region, including the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. The United States has more than 40,000 troops deployed in the Middle East. We have here officials are reporting that DJT is set to deliver an urgent nationwide address soon, and here's why. Apparently, the U.S. will join in the conflict against Iran, according to Israeli officials, as CBS News reports that DJT is considering supporting Israeli strikes on Iranian sites. And because of that, we see Iran's reaction saying that they are ready to launch attacks on U.S. bases if America enters the war. So it seems like it's going to be a busy night tonight. I guess we will see if Iran actually follows up.
So now let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 12. We'll start back up at verse 21. So seeing is believing. So we're seeing right now that we're right upon war. War is imminent. It's in the war drums are beating. And also we're seeing that these nations are constantly rising against nations. And also we're seeing that the war drums are constantly beating. And also the warning cry has went out. We have blown the trumpet. And one thing about it, a lot of people are getting ready to find out, to F around and find out. So we're very close. And one thing about it, we know that war is right in our backyard. It's already saying that, America, they're saying that they're going to attack America and hit a lot of U.S. targets, so a lot of things is coming, so we're going to wait and see, we're going to measure the time diligently in itself when it comes to this big world surprise that they have, said that it will be be a big surprise that the world, will remember for centuries. So we're getting ready to find out. Let's see here, Ezekiel, if that's true or not. Say Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 21 say, and the word of the Lord came unto me saying, verse 22, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying the days are prolonged and every vision faileth. So exactly, how people think right to this day. They saying that, hey, we see it every day, constantly passing by and it's nothing happening. One thing about it don't mean that it's not going to happen. As it is written, it shall come to pass. And one thing about it, that's what they're saying is that, hey, all these prophecies, coming to nothing. Let's read in the NLT. It says Ezekiel chapter 12, verse 22, Son of man, you have heard that proverb they quote in Israel, time passes and prophecies come to nothing. So that's exactly how people think. And one thing about it, the Lord already said that it will come to pass. And one thing about it, right now it's not lying, it's not tearing anymore. At the end it shall speak and not lie. So exactly where we at right now. These prophecies are lining up just like clockwork. We knowing that we are here. We're in the end time. We read upon what war. When they say peace and safety, peace and security, then total destruction will come upon us. So we here, man. Verse 23, whether you believe or not, is that, but seeing is believing. Say, tell them, therefore, thus said the Lord power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel, but say unto them, the days are at hand, and and the effect of every vision. So one thing about it, so we're here, man, the days are at hand. That every prophecy, will be fulfilled. So we right here at that said measure, One thing about it, there's no denying that we're living in the end times. Let's read this in the NLT. Said, tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says. So I will put an end to this proverb, and you will soon stop quoting it. Said, now give them this new proverb to replace the old. The time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. So that's where we at right now. So a lot, and also we know that what famine of the word is fast approaching. He said we're gonna soon stop quoting it. Stop what prophesied. The Lord's getting ready to shut up his mouthpiece, and he's getting ready to bring the house down. Verse 24 said, for there shall be no more vain vision nor flattering divination within the house of Israel. So, hey, no more. The Lord's getting ready to bring it forth. Say, hey, we here. Verse 25 said, for I am the Lord, so I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. So it shall be no more prolonged, for in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word, and will perform it, says the Lord power. So one thing about it, the Lord is getting ready to make it plain. The Lord's getting ready to bring forth that judgment left and right. That's what we just in the NLT. He said, for I am the Lord. If I say it, it will happen. There will be no more delays. You rebels of Israel, I will fulfill my threats of destruction in your own lifetime. So I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord word will not return to him void. As it is written, it shall come to pass. So one thing about it, that's what we constantly seeing left and right. The Bible is a true book, and it's coming to life left and right. So the Lord is showing forth these tokens. We seeing the signs of the time right before our eyes. Verse 26, and again, the word of the Lord came to me saying, verse 27, Son of man, behold, said, they of the house of Israel say the vision that he sees is for many days to come, and he prophesies of the time that are far off. But one thing about it, you're in for a rude awakening. This could go down even this year. What I'm saying? But one thing about it, we knowing that we don't know a matter of if but when. It's going to happen. So these things gonna come to pass. These visions, these signs of the times, these tokens, these prophecies, they are going to come to pass. No more delays. And one thing about it, it's not far off. Oh, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I'll be dead and gone. Well, guess what? You'll still be here. Verse 28 said, therefore say unto them, thus said the Lord power, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, says the Lord power, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. So we are very close. The Lord is getting ready to make it good. So now let's go here to second area. Let's get through this second area, then we'll close out. This straight to the point. This verses here, they're lining up with Ezekiel chapter 38 also. It says here, second area, chapter 15 and verse 28, it said, behold, an horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. It says here, verse 29 said, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitudes of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear of tremblings. And now the body, it's talking about these the dragons of Arabia. It's talking about these Arab nations. They get ready to come together, against what? Israel, and also what? America. So we're coming upon this time. So we're saying that they're constantly, warning, sending warnings and threats, left and right. You already know that Pakistan already said that if Israel nuke Iran, they're going to nuke Israel. So a lot of these things are constantly lining up. The dragons of Arabia, they're, things that what is getting more on a broader scale. The wars to end all wars. World War III, it's constantly what brewing is picking up. We're at the beginning stages. It says here, verse 30, is also the Carmanian raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the woods, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, which in fact modern day Assyria is America. So one thing about it, when it says here Carmanians, it's talking about the modern day Iranians. And one thing about it, we are very close. They're going to join in with these Arab nations, also with Russia and China, North Korea, the kings of the East. A lot of these things are happening. We constantly warning you left and right. The Bible is speaking loud and clear. Verse 31 says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand. So remembering their nature, saying, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. So we seeing right now, it's talking about these dragons, these Arabs, and starts to remember their nature. So when you go back to Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12, it tell you about what Ishmael, you know what I'm saying? So he was the father of the Arab nation. So right now, this thing is speaking loud and clear. So they get ready to come up against, Israel, also come up against America. So one thing about it, we already know that the least of the flock shall draw them out. So he said, remembering his nature. So let's get that little quick precept. Let's go here to Genesis chapter 16. Who is, remember his nature, that he is what? A wild man. You know what I'm saying? Let's go here to verse Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back here. Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12. It says here, talking about Ishmael, the father of the Arab nation, the dragons of Arabia. It says here, Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12, and he will be a wild man. And said, and his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. So that's where you at right there today. The Bible's spot on. So now let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Read that once again so you get a clear understanding. So we're seeing right now that the Lord is what is gathering the nation. We're seeing that he's constantly putting these chess pieces together left and right, man. It is here. It is at the door. So let's go back to, I think that was 30. You know what I'm saying? 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 30 said, so also the Carmanian, which in fact the modern day Iranian, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the woods, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. And Salaki, let's go up to verse 29, Salaki. This right here goes with Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12. He said, when the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitudes of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, said that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. So Salakia. Verse 31, Salakia, man, I'm a little sleepy. Salakia for that. This right here go with verse Genesis chapter 16 and verse 12. Salakia for that. It says, 2nd Amos chapter 15 and verse 31 said, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And that about it, remembering their nature, which in fact, once again, Ishmael is that wild man they are talking about, and also he is the father of the Arab nation. So we seeing right here, this Bible is speaking loud and clear. So that's all I want to get out of that. So I got a little sleeping tonight, but still gonna bring it out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So now let's go here. And once again, Salaki for that. Hope I didn't confuse anyone on that. Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 7. Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 7 said, make no terror to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. So a lot of people right now, they're seeing and hearing. And one thing about it, they're constantly delaying. They putting off from day to day. And suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come upon them. So that's where we at right now. A lot of people in their security. A lot of people still think that they're a good case. And these things are fast approaching. Evils are growing around us on every side. Verse 8, he says, set not thy heart upon goods unjustly gotten, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. So we're very close to that time. World War III is brewing. Things can go nuclear at any given time. Things are at the door. We're constantly warning you left and right. So we knowing that right now that judgment and prophecies are happening right before our eyes. And one thing about the men of the Lord, we're constantly warning you left and right. We have blown the trumpet. And a lot of people are still hearing and seeing, but they still thinking that they are a good case. And they're going to be totally destroyed. The Lord said, I will come like a thief in a night, seeing and believing. The seeing is believing, Salaki. So that's where we at right now, so we are very close to these times. And one thing about Bible prophecy are constantly speaking right now, and one thing about they shall, and so when these come to pass, when these prophecies come to pass, say, and they shall know that a prophet was among them. Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 33. Let's close out there. Let's go there. We'll close out. Let's get one more. The Spirit lead me to go here. Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 33. I'm telling you, I'm very tired right now, but hey, one thing about it, our rest is coming. Our rest is coming, immortality, rulership, spiritual power. We got to get the Lord everything that we got. One thing about it, the Lord's going to give us those new body, and we won't ever be tired again. Let's say Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 33 say, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet had been among them. So one thing about it, you get ready to find out. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is seeing is believing. So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.